So after you have a breakthrough, a clarity, a deep clarity that I get it, I know that I am this unchanging, immortal awareness. And the whole universe is basically an appearance within me. They are also not different from me. But after that, that same awareness in front of me in the form of my boss, and he comes and yells at me, and then I feel insulted and annoyed and hurt. And because he's my boss, I can't punch him on the nose as I would like to do. So I am Brahman, but I'm very annoyed with the boss Brahman. Or my children don't listen to me, and I feel frustrated. Then what do I do? What do I do is different, but your question was, why do I feel insulted? Why do I feel frustrated when I know that I am the... I'll answer this at two levels. One is the direct answer in classical Vedanta. What you have asked is a question that is a very old question. You'll be happy to know that Vedantins from the time of Shankara or even before that, they have faced this problem. This is called Viparita Bhavana. Viparita Bhavana, this is an obstacle in Advaita Vedanta. Viparita Bhavana means contrary tendencies. See, there are two fundamental problems. After learning all this, there are two fundamental problems which have to be overcome. One is called Asambhavana, impossibility obstacle. The next one is called Viparita Bhavana, contrary tendencies obstacle. You are asking about the second one. But let's take the first one very quickly. After I listen to the classes, I study it and think about it, I know the teaching. So the first problem that comes to me is this Asambhavana, which is, I know what you are trying to say, I know what the texts are trying to say, I've read so many books, attended so many talks, but I don't get it. How am I Brahman? This is not what you're asking, but this thing can come. So this thing is overcome by repeated listening to the teaching, studying it, and thinking about it. So raising questions, this is the stage of mananam, reflection, rational argumentation. Raise the question again and again. Your own mind will answer it. Your fellow students will answer it. The teacher should answer it. And there are any number of texts where you'll find all the questions that we can conceive of and many more besides, which we can never conceive of. They have been raised and answered satisfactorily. Once you get this, to a certain extent, clarity comes. Now you can say, I not only know the teaching, but now I get it. I have made a breakthrough. It's clear to me. I get it. I'm convinced about it. It's fine. But after that comes the next question which you have asked, which is Viparita Bhavana. I get the teaching. I'm convinced about it. It seems right to me. It's real. But I can't seem to live it. Again and again problems come in day-to-day life, in the form of Brahman who is in the form of the boss, or the disobedient child, or the disappointing child, or whatever. So, what do I do? First of all, why does this come? This comes because these are, remember, in the mind. Just as the physical body is conditioned. After enlightenment, Ramakrishna's body remains Ramakrishna's body, and Swami Vivekananda's body remains Swami Vivekananda's body. The physical body remains the same. The mind also has its conditionings. And this also remains the same. And the enlightenment dawns in that mind. Now you have to soak that mind in that realization, that breakthrough. Once conviction is there, then you have to stay with it. This is the third stage called Nididhyasana, Vedantic meditation. So what we are talking about when Ramana Maharshi says, who am I? It starts like a question, Shravana. Then it becomes an inquiry, Manana. But then very soon it becomes a meditation, Nididhyasana. So like that. Any Vedantic practice must ultimately culminate in Nididhyasana. Swami Vivekananda puts it this way, that tell yourself again and again, that you stabilize in that I am that reality, I am he, soham, I am that reality. Until it tingles with every drop of your blood. What does that mean? You have assimilated the truth. Then it becomes easy to live that truth. You really feel that way, not just think that way, not just understand that way. It's an obvious reality. Then it will be easier to live that and then to go back to your earlier patterns of behavior. But there will be a phase when earlier patterns of behavior, they seem to go contrary to your realization. Now, a follow-up about spiritual practices. Why does this happen? In Vidyaranya Swami's book, Jivan Mukti Viveka, these things are discussed. What is enlightenment while living? I am Brahman, I realize that all this is Brahman. If I can live it and manifest it and get the full benefit from it, full benefit, transcendence of sorrow, establishment in Ananda, this ultimate bliss. If I can get that, then I have got this enlightenment while living, Jivan Mukti. Now he says, there are two paths to this. One he calls Kritopasti, another one he calls Akritopasti. Kritopasti literally means who has finished spiritual practices. What are spiritual practices? Not only the Vedantic path of Jnana Yoga, but Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Dhyana or Raja Yoga. If my practices have been long-standing and sincere and hard, I put in the hard work, the cleansing of the mind. Swami Vivekananda puts it in this way. He says, the only thing that we can do is polish the mirror. If I polished the mirror long and hard enough, scrubbed it nicely, then when that breakthrough comes, I'll be able to live it very quickly. But if I have not done that, you see, if I have not done that, is it possible to have that breakthrough? It is possible. Vidyaranya Swami says, there is a group of people who are akritopasti, who have not yet completed spiritual practices to a satisfactory level. They have been trying. Maybe they have been meditating. Maybe they have served people. Maybe they have devotion to God also. But not very deep. Not transformational. And yet, by the study of Vedanta, he says, by the grace of Guru or grace of God, or by their great good past karma. Notice, he does not say by attending many classes or reading many books. He says that breakthrough usually comes because of very good karma in the past lives, or by the blessings of the Guru, or by the special blessings of God. It comes by that. People can have a spontaneous kind of awakening. It becomes real. But they have not completed the preliminary practices. The mind hasn't been quietened and focused by deep, long years of meditation. The heart hasn't been cleansed by unselfishness. No selfish desires for myself. The emotions have not been pacified and purified and sublimated by one-pointed devotion to God. They have not been done. A little bit maybe, not enough. Then what happens is, this person, what will happen to this person? And Vidyaranya makes a very clear point. That this person, because there is a genuine awakening, if it's there at all, there is a genuine awakening, at the point of death, this person will get moksha. There will be no rebirth for that person. But, here is the problem. Until that point, this person will still be subject to the ups and downs of life. I mean, ups and downs of life will come to everybody. But this person will still keep reacting to it. Because the mind is not fully established in the realization. So, what this person has to do, Vidyaranya says, he will not get the joys of Jivan Mukta. The sadhus in the Himalayas, they know this very well. They have been cultivating it for thousands of years now. They very clearly, if you ask this question, they will tell you in one sentence. वो जीवन मुक्ति का विलक्षण सुख अनुभव नहीं करेगा. In Hindi, they will not get the unique joy of Jivan Mukti if that spiritual practice has not been done. But realization is there, a breakthrough. So he makes a distinction, Vidyaranya Swami. Tattva Jnana, realization of the reality. This is what you're talking about. But then there are two other things to it, two other components. One is called Vasanakshaya, the removal of desires, purification of the mind. Second one is called Manonasha, a very misleading term. It literally, if you say, it means destruction of the mind. But it actually means concentration of the mind, a deeply meditative, one-pointed mind. Now, unless the purification of the mind and the one-pointed of the mind have been achieved, the realization of the truth is difficult to manifest in life. You will know it. You will find it a struggle. It's not that you will not be able to live it. You will be able to live it also. If it's really there, it will manifest itself. But it will be a struggle.
So it needs to be stabilized in some
It
sense.
needs to be stabilized. Now, how do you stabilize it? Then, Vidyaranya Swami, it is a whole chapters on it, 2 whole chapters on the stabilization. Jivan Mukti Viveka, they're good English translations. I recommend the translation by Swami Mokshadanandaji, Advaitashram publication. I knew the Swami, a very great Vedanta teacher, one of the few I would unhesitatingly say who was enlightened in this life. The only book he ever wrote. He translated it. So, I mean, there's other translations are also there, but I've compared. There are crucial passages where this Swami Mokshadanji gives a slightly different turn. It's available, yes, in Calcutta, Advaita Ashram. So, he gives a turn to it, which directly shows that this person is enlightened. And the other person may be a good scholar, but hasn't seen the inner pointing in that phrase. This comes from that. So anyway, 2 whole chapters are there. How do you stabilize this? So basically what it means is very simple. All the practices that we have been doing so far, japa, meditation, a mantra, service to others, transcending our desires, all of those have to be intensified. The same practices continue, but there is now a whole shift in attitude. Earlier I was doing meditation for what? Mind will become concentrated, attain samadhi, I will realize that truth. Now you have already realized it. Earlier you were seeking, now you have found it. Earlier by all those practices you were trying to find something, but now you have found it. But now you're using those practices to stay there.
It was very self-centered in a sense, right? Like you're seeking because the ego wants to realize
But
it.
now you have transcended it, and now you have touched reality. But because the mind flickers, you feel that you're not settled in that reality. To get that feeling of being settled in that reality and able to live it day to day, intensify. Vidyaranya Swami says, the seeker does intense spiritual practices, the genuine, sincere seeker. But the person who has actually seen, has found, does more spiritual practices. Yeah. Now you understand why the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, who directly by the grace of Guru, by the time Sri Ramakrishna was there at the time, Vivekananda, Brahmananda, Turiyananda, Shivananda, all of them without exception, they all got that breakthrough and they realized in the form, in the Saguna aspect, in the different visions of God with form, and also what we are talking about, Brahmajnana, all of them realized without any exception. And yet, after Sri Ramakrishna passed away, you notice, all of them without exception poured themselves into the most austere kind of spiritual practice. So, and they were asked, what are you doing? You're already enlightened. And all of them, each of them, at least in 2 places I know, Swami Brahmananda, Swami Shivananda, they give the same answer. What he gave us, we are trying to make it our own. What does this mean, make it our own? They've already got it. It's just that they're soaking themselves in it. They say, when you prepare rasgulla, the Bengali sweet, it must be soaked in the syrup. When you're cooking a spicy food, after everything is finished, you just let it simmer, let it marinate. You put a lid on it. It's already done, but you put a lid on it. And let it stay there like that. It absorbs more nicely. Similarly, this Vedantic meditation. And it can be a long process. Yeah. And that's why you will find many of the greatest sadhakas, they are no longer seeking. They are found. They're just establishing themselves.
I read that Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi meditated for about 7 or 8 years.
After the breakthrough. He had the breakthrough when he was a teenager. Yes. He imagined what is it like to be dead, and he immediately saw he is beyond death. Yes. And he realized that he is the Atman. But after that, what happened? Long time in the deepest possible meditation. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when Sri Ramakrishna got Nirvikalpa Samadhi from Totapuri's teaching, after Totapuri left, Sri Ramakrishna remained like that for 6 months. Barely coming out to eat. He says, my hair grew matted. Birds would... So, that is tremendous. Most people would die if they tried that. But a kind of marination is necessary, establishing yourself in that. And that is the continuation of the spiritual practices you're doing. Holy Mother, Ma Sharada, put it in the most simple way. Somebody got mantra diksha from the Holy Mother, from her, and asked, I have got mantra diksha from you. Do I need to repeat the mantra? Shortcut. Her answer was very interesting. My child, at the time of death, Thakur will come for you. Sri Ramakrishna will come for you. That's the way, a dualistically bhakti way of putting that you have got moksha. You will get moksha. Then she says, but my son, if you want to feel the joy of spiritual life, then you must practice in this life. Look, exactly what Vidyaranya said 700 years ago. At the point of death, this person who has made a breakthrough will get moksha. There's no doubt. This is the last life for such a person. But it must be a genuine breakthrough.
Yes.
It's not a, oh, I get it, and then after the class it's gone again. No. The sign of a genuine breakthrough is it will never go away. Mm-hmm. It will always be there. You try to forget it also, it will be there all the time. And it will be available to you at an instant's call. But even that is not full enlightenment. But she says, just like Vidyaranya says, in this life, if you want to taste Jivan Mukti, enlightened while living, that real freedom, bliss, that transcendence of sorrow, even in the midst of sorrow, if you want to experience that, then you must do that the other two components have to be completed. She simply says, if you want to taste the joy in this life, job korte hobe, you have to practice. One more thing I will add here, most very important, but I could leave it out, but you must take it carefully. It's very dangerous, what I'm going to say. Yeah, now everybody perked ears. But this question which you're asking, genuine question, you must do exactly what Vidyaranya Swami has said or Holy Mother says, what the saints have done. Very good guide is to look at the lives of saints. But I must add, what would someone like Shankaracharya or Gaudapada have said? They would say this very question you are asking, is it a question that the Atman would ask or the mind would ask?
The mind, for sure.
The mind asks that question.
Yes.
I am not steady there. What is not steady there? Is the Atman not steady in Atman?
Always is.
Always is. What is not steady there? The mind. Yeah, I want to make the mind steady. Can the mind ever become steady in the Atman? Never. Ultimately, all the spiritual practices will bring you to this insight. The Atman is perfect, is fine. And the mind?
Dualistic.
Not worth bothering about. Oh, that question, I'll come to you. Yeah, that philosophy, classic philosophy, I think mind and matter. What is matter? Never mind. What is mind? No matter.